What is up, everybody? 190 Alice is done. On to the next project. All right, it's still super duper hot outside, so now the Mac has taken up residency in the cooler shop. So let's get going on this thing. Yesterday, Mrs. G, I didn't film it, but Mrs. G helped me take the old driver's seat out and put this snazzy brand new one in. That'll be a lot nicer. And she helped me take the front bumper off because it rattles around like crazy. It's bent and it's cracked. So yesterday I went to the Mack dealership and ordered a whole slew of stuff for this thing. I ordered new stainless half fenders. Well, you know what? Just you guys can wait and see. But for now, I'm going to take these old clapped out fenders off. We're going to get rid of this deck plate. I'm going to eliminate this toolbox or whatever because, yeah, see all the daylight? It pretty much looks like Swiss cheese, so we get rid of that. This light plate is all bent, so I'm going to just unhook that connector and take it off and either get a new one or a chrome one, or take the lights out and try to bend that back. Once I have all that stripped off of it, then we'll take it outside and I'm going to use first we'll get a bucket and a putty knife and do the nasty job of scraping as much of that fifth wheel grease off as we can. Then we will power wash the ever-living crap out of this thing. And then I'll use the Sandblast adapter on the power washer to do the outside of the frame. I don't want to use it on the inside because I don't want to blow holes in the air lines and stuff. So once it's power washed and scuffed up, it'll go in the paint booth. We'll jack it up, take all the rims off. Then while I'm painting the frame, we will polish the rims. Once the frame's painted, then I'm going to paint the back of the cab. I went and got that paint yesterday. I am not doing any of this fanciness. It's the back panel is just going to all be the Alice cream color. That's all good with me. Yeah. The scary part is I'm really, like, in all honesty, about a month away from harvest. 4 or 5 weeks away. It's closing in fast, so I need to get this old girl cleaned up for the party. I'm hoping I can just reuse this bracket. It just needs a stiffener under where it's clamped. Every semi I've ever owned, whether it be a Mack, Kenworth, whatever, that has this style of bracket, there's a 5/8 bolt or nut up in there that threads over one of these hut bolts. Every single one of them snaps off, or the stainless part cracks off of there. That's why this thing's all goobered with weld. We got to get this thing off just to get it out of here. But this is a whole lot easier to deal with. Should be able to reuse the rear brackets. The brackets end up costing as much or more than the fenders, so as long as I can make these old ones work, that's a plus. Some bloody knuckles on that one. Holy flat washers. A little bit of shimmage going on there. Yeah. I'd rather have one of these on the other side anyway. I think they had it here because these used to pull concrete powder tankers, and I think it had a blower over there. So we'll save these. I'm going to take a guess that that plug right there has not been unplugged in a long time. Oh, yeah. And I would be correct. Be greasy reaching. I'm not reusing this. Apparently these are illegal by the DOT now because there's no holes in them for snow to go through, and they're slippery, so you can still get them. I got a different style. Since I'm not reusing this, and I don't want to have this all the way up my arm trying to reach underneath to get those back too, I think we'll use this wrench. Solves that. Get underneath there and see if I can get the bolt in that pogo stick, or the nut to come off of that. Save that. Okay. Holy crap. I think maybe we'll put a couple electric plug and socket on the list. Okay, off we go. Well, it didn't take us very long to make a pretty good sized scrap aluminum pile here. I've got a whole brand new air dryer assembly too for it. At least I can get to those bracket bolts now for the that storage box. Alright guys, I'm going to take the torch and cut these broken off pipes off on each side. I'm going to take the brackets off for that aluminum box, and then get a putty knife and a bucket and start taking some of this nastiness off. Morning. It's a hell of a way to start your morning job like this. Any of you guys know how fifth wheel grease is, you know. But I'm just trying to scrape as much of it off of it as possible before I start power washing, because it just blows everywhere then. That's why I backed her all the way over here in the gravel away from either of the shops, so all this grease doesn't end up getting tracked in and out of the shop constantly after I wash it. But it's supposed to be super freaking hot again today, so I'm gonna get after this thing because it's gonna take some time to wash this dirty pig. I better go get a couple caps for that. See you in a while. This job completely sucks. I am just covered in grease. And it's hot. I've made my way around the whole thing one time. Boy, she's a greasy pig. I'm going to go grab some super clean, and I've got it in a pump sprayer. I'm just gonna hose this whole frickin' truck with super clean, and then keep on washing. Good thing that I did find, one good thing, once I washed everything off, it's got new kingpins in it, new tie rods, all new slack adjusters, the brakes are all new, the rear suspension's all new. I knew that. It's just a shame. Salt, Northern Illinois salt. That's gonna be a winter project right there. Luckily the hood hides this, but that could use some attention too. Alright, I'm gonna get some super clean. I haven't done a super clean giveaway in a while, so I'll randomly pick someone from the comments and super clean will send you some goodies. Alright guys, I degreased and washed on this thing yesterday for as long as I could take it. It's freaking hot out. So it's the next morning. I'm just going around looking for any other spots that might need some more degreasing. Spraying it with some super clean. Fifth wheel's a whole lot cleaner than it was. Still got a little grease on it. But I'm gonna hit all the spots that need it with the power washer one more time, and then we'll hook up the sandblaster attachment to the power washer, and that sounds even more miserable. Sweating and getting sand stuck to me, but gotta get this thing done. I really hope you guys appreciate this video, because it's hot, sweaty balls out here today, and can't see it, I'm just covered in sand. But got the other side done. I've resorted to buying sand by the pallet now, but this thing is it's amazing. I'm not trying to take all this outside frame to bare metal. I'm just trying to scuff it all up really good and take any of the loose stuff off. And as far as the inside goes, we'll use a needle scaler or a wire wheel. The paint that we're going to use on this doesn't require primer, and it is tough stuff. But alright, it's the next day. Got her in the paint booth. I just started masking off to paint that back panel, and then I realized that Mrs. G is a lot better at that than me, so I'm gonna leave that for her tomorrow to mask the rest of that off. So after I used the sandblaster attachment on the power washer, it pretty much just etched up the outside of the frame, took off any loose paint. As far as the inside, this ain't no show girl. Like, it's not a show truck. I'm just trying to make it look better. I just used one of these carbon scrapers anywhere that the paint's like flaking off, and it just scrapes it right off. Or a needle scaler or an electric wire brush. But I'm going to take the wire brush on the outside of the frame rails and just scuff them up that much more before we paint. But I have been using this stuff for years on frames and under trailers and everything else. This chassis saver paint, they call it magnetic paint. You can paint it, there's no primer needed. You just need to wash it really good, so you don't want any grease or anything, but wash it, scrape off any loose rust, or wire wheel it, or etch it with the, like how I did with the sandblaster. This stuff is thick, and then we just brush paint it. So tomorrow, me and Mrs. G will bring you back whenever we start painting that. But the only thing is, it's not good. It doesn't have UV protection in it. So like, if this truck was going to be out on the road, over the road every day, it'll chalk out after a while of being in the sun. So you can brush this on everything and then top coat it, you know, with like a clear coat or black, you know, sprayed on paint. But I've never done that. This truck's not gonna be out in the sunlight other than in the fall when it's hauling to the elevator, and I'm just not worried about that. If it chalks out, we'll put another coat of it on in another couple of years. any of you guys that watched the first video on when I bought this truck on auction time this summer and drove it home, I pointed out in the video that the front drive had a totally different offset than the other three. So I bought a brand new rim and tire. I think I showed that in one of my last videos, but look at this. So the truck company that put this on auction time, I am guessing that it had normal duals on it, and they took them off and slapped these super singles on. And I'm guessing that they just slapped this one on with the wrong offset. I just pulled it off. Look at that puppy hanging out of the sidewall. And they had it marked. Thanks, guys. I'm just really glad that did not blow out on my hour and some drive home. I am going to deflate that just so it doesn't blow up in my shed. My God. All right, guys. You see why I said I would wait for Mrs. G, because she is much better at masking things off than I am. Mrs. G is painting the frame. Well, both of us are, but she just stood up underneath this and whopped her head on it. I told her to go in and take a break, but she's a tough chick. Aren't you, Mama? But man, this thing is looking so much better. I got 2 coats of epoxy primer sprayed on the back of the cab. I'll let that dry for about a half hour, and then I'll spray it with base coat and then clear coat. This chassis saver paint, it's really thick. It's a single part paint. You don't put any hardener in it or anything. It's activated by air. So you don't ever want to use like the gallon jug and just dip out of that, because it starts setting up. Like this bucket here is going to set up if we don't get it painted on quick. It's pretty good stuff. Well, I got 3 coats of base coat on it. It needs to sit about half hour and then start spraying clear. Mrs. G is rocking this frame, aren't you? All right, it looks good. 2 coats of clear. Let that dry overnight. I think it's gonna match pretty darn good, especially when we buff the rest of the truck. But Mrs. G got all the outside of the frame done, so we'll let that dry overnight, and then tomorrow we'll do the inside, and whatever we can't get, we just use a spray can. Frame's looking way better. It's Saturday afternoon, and I've had about enough painting for the day. When I say it's hot out, it's hot out. And the AC can't keep up because I got to turn it off every time I'm spraying paint, and then turn on the exhaust fan so it sucks all the cold air out of here. The next video, we'll buff this thing, we'll polish all the wheels. I've got all kinds of shiny new chrome pieces that are going to get put on it. And hopefully this old girl will be ready to go. I want to take a minute and thank all you awesome subs that I have that reach out in the comments every video and have such nice things to say. That's what keeps me and Mrs. G taking the time to do this. We appreciate you guys. And If you're watching and you're not a sub and you like it, please hit the sub button. We very much appreciate it. Have a good one, guys.